and today I've got two special guests, Jeremiah Brite and Hristiana Soula, two greater Austin area local filmmakers who've participated in 48-hour films, and it was great for them to come. We had an opportunity to kind of get their take on what it takes to create a 40-hour film, and check it out.
I'm Jeremiah Brite. I'm 39 years old, originally from Bakersfield, California. I was in the military for 15 years. I used to model for Sears, and we'd walk the catwalk. And then before I joined the military, I went to modeling school back in the day when I was, I kept in shape. So I always was like in that kind of like wanted to be in the creative industry. I also always was fascinated with audio production. I always wanted to be an audio, like produce music and stuff. Well, now that the military landed me in San Antonio, no audio production school. They have some in Austin, but I wasn't capable of moving at the time. So I looked into school and I was like, let me try film. A friend of mine mentioned it before and fell in love with it.
Yeah.
That moment, the first time I went on just filmed something, even though the quality is horrible, I just love the process of it, like, oh wow, we did that, and here we are.
So I'm Hristiana Soula. I was born in Sardinia, Italy. I'm a military brat. I want to say, 14 years old, I've always had an interest in filmmaking. So my first video communications class was actually at that age, and I made this goofy commercial for a banana phone. And then in high school, I took video communications again. So I was always I always had an interest in that. And then after that, I was like, well, I really want to try acting. Because in high school, I never had any blocks open for acting classes. So in college, I started acting. So after I went to UTSA and graduated, I started looking for agents and everything. I actually got in with one. That's how I kind of networked and met everyone in this film world. And yeah, I've just always been involved in something film related.
I've done two of them.
Two of them? Okay.
Austin was my first one.
Yeah.
So my first one was 2 years ago. In August 2017, I did the San Antonio one. It was a good first foray into 48 filmmaking, the sleepless nights and everything.
I mean, you have an opportunity to show your work in front of a big audience. And I love challenges. I love competition.
Did it the first time 2 years ago, and I wasn't sure if I'd do it again just because of how stressful it was. But then I met Jeremiah on a project called Deliverance of Mother Nature. So I met him and I thought, well, this guy, I don't know, I feel like he's really, like we could probably work together in the future. I felt like I could communicate with him well. Yeah. And so one day a light bulb went off in my head and I was like, Jeremiah, would you like to do the 48-hour Austin Film Challenge? And from there, it just took on a life of its own.
Yeah. The Austin one, like she mentioned one day, she messaged me, and this was like in the middle of May. It was like May 15th or something. And she was like, hey, are you doing the Austin 48? And I was like, no, I'd like to. When is it? She's like, May 31st. I'm like, ooh, that's like 2 weeks, I was like, well, you know what? We can put together a team, I bet you we can put together, even if it's a small team, So I was like, cool. Registered up a team, put out on Facebook, registered for Austin 48, who'd like to do it. Got hit up by Marla. She helped produce it, the location we got and stuff like that. But most of the people, about at least more than half the people on that team, I didn't even meet till that night. And I remember going up to my boy Erwin Santiago and I were driving up to Austin for the kickoff. And I was mad because I ordered a mic. It didn't come in time, so I'm thinking, oh God, we're going to have horrible audio. Like, this will be crap, And then, luckily, we drew silent film. So that's how that came to be. Yeah. The film Silent Train, it takes place in New Braunfels at the New Braunfels, I think, Modelers Society. I want to give a shout out to them because they're the ones who provided the location for us. And everybody on the team, cast and crew, was just amazing. Got along, and then, after we got the genre, I drew school drama or silent film, and I had the biggest smirk on my face, like, oh, good, no audio, right? I was gonna save on editing, and everyone likes to stay away from silent films. But for a while, I'd been wanting to do a silent film, so I was like, well, this is my chance now. Yeah. Our chance to do a silent film. And they're like, oh, how's this gonna turn out? And we just did it. On the way from Austin to New Braunfels, my friend Erwin and I were just chopping up a story real quick. He's writing down notes. I'm like, cool, let's go. And we start shooting at 10 o'clock that night.
Really? Okay.
So we still had a good hour and a half drive because of traffic at the time.
Got you.
About an hour and a half to chop up a story real quick.
So you wrote the story in an hour and a half, or came up with the story?
The way we do it, we come up with a basic premise.
Okay.
And when I mentioned to him, I was like, how about this, dude? We got silent film. We're in an enclosed space. Why don't we have it where, like, you have to be quiet on the train. If you make a noise, you get killed. And that was the basic, bam. He's like, cool, we like it. And then we knew the people that were in it, so we just started tailoring the story to who was in it, who we wanted to be, what characters and stuff like that. So that's the process. And we did the same thing for the San Antonio 48. You know, you just get that genre and stuff, and you just come up with a story real quick. Because I find when you're on set and filming, the story's going to develop as you're filming as well. So people come up with ideas and inputs, but we like to limit the amount of people who are really coming up with the story. Like 2-3 people tops. That's it. Yeah. And you get on set, and sometimes, you know, you listen to your talent too. They're like, well, they'll say something, and you're like, you know what, that was a good idea. We could do that, especially if you have time. And the reason why I like to do it that way is because we all know post-production takes most of the time. Yeah. But I've noticed some people like to spend most time on the script. Well, then now you're hindering your editor. Your editor's like, okay, now I got this little window to edit something, and we know it takes a lot of time. And I just wanted to do it that way to see how it worked, and it's worked great the last 2 times. And people get motivated, especially when you tell them, yeah, we're going to film this Friday night. They're like, really? You're like, yeah, the reason why, I want you all to still have your weekend. You still have your weekend to go do whatever. Like when we did Silent interesting enough, there was, Erwin and I pretty much split everything down the middle with directing, the shooting, the editing, everything. And what really helped that out is we didn't lose any sleep. I still was able to get my sleep because, like, on that Saturday, I was editing while he was out having family time. But then that night, he came over and took over the editing while I got the rest.
Pretty much just acted in Silent Train, so it was very easy for me in Silent Train.
No dialogue, right? You
yeah.
speaking.
In my mind, when I heard that, I was like, well, this is exciting because I've never acted without dialogue before. And so it was kind of a challenge to nail those facial expressions down and everything. And just with, you know, with the role I played in Masquerade, I was the team lead, so I basically, you know, executive produced it. Of course, we co-produced it, but it was the first film that was pretty much my baby. And the hardest part, I would say, was nailing that location down, because at first, the one that we wanted, it never got back to us. And we kind of, we made it like a month, kind of. We were like, you know, the second location was a place where I work, an old folks community. Okay. And I talked to the director. I was like, well, do you think it'd be okay if we filmed here? And he was like, oh, I don't see a problem. So the next day comes around, the day before the 48. It's already 12 p.m. in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling one of my friends, you know, I haven't heard back. He said, well, it turns out that it won't be okay with you filming. And I was like freaking out. I called Jeremiah, like, what are we going to do? And then
I was at school at the time, and I was in class, and I was telling one of my teachers, and he's like, why don't you try out Magnolia on Maine?
And I called him up, and he was surprisingly very, very cool. I mean, it wasn't hard to get the location, and apparently it's kind of high end, and so I was shocked that we were able to book it at that last moment.
Really excited the fact that we just were going to film there.
And the only stipulation was, oh, I have it set up for a quinceañera right here, just don't touch. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
That was a headache. It was like, oh my gosh.
I was so stressed out.
Location scouting really is rough.
It really is. But besides that, you know, we co-wrote it, and I did the extras casting. Okay. I was also nervous because I had never extra casted, and so I didn't want to let down all those people. Yeah. That was my main concern. But after that, it was pretty much smooth sailing from there. We got to the location. Everything seemed to work out. I also acted in it, and we co-wrote it together. He also acted in it, and he directed. And so for me, it could have went wrong in so many ways, and surprisingly it didn't. So I'm so happy and proud of what we accomplished.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so you're now getting ready for
Austin Sci-Fi Horror.
Yes.
I know. It's just what? Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 3 more days.
Right back up here for the kickoff.
You know, this channel's intended to help newbies and people who've maybe done it once or twice but are learning. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about your process now for this film that's going to happen on Friday.
Same thing. It's the same thing.
I mean, so what have you done already in terms of anything?
Found a location.
Okay.
We definitely found a
We
location.
learned the hard way to secure it for sure.
Thank you to Daniel Vasquez for securing the location, and it was good to go. It was like, and then we also had Nathaniel Paul, who's
Are you guys shooting in Austin or?
No, we're going to be shooting in San Antonio.
San Antonio.
The reason why is that's where the location is, but also it's going to help because the drive from here to San Antonio, we should knock out a story by then.
Gotcha.
And by the time we get there, we'll have the story. It's great. I mean, this time I'm more excited about this project. Just the fact that it's going to require a lot of practical effects. I'm big in horror. I love horror. I've never really done a sci-fi, so I'm hoping to get sci-fi.
Yeah.
And
well, you'll get a sci-fi and a horror.
Yes.
It's just whether you get one you like. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you zombie or toy.
Aliens.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get aliens.
Yeah.
I love aliens.
and the fact that we got some awesome makeup artists this time. Special effects makeup artists that are on board with us, and they're really nice. I guess that's why I'm more excited about this, because now it feels like we're gonna, instead of just being in a wardrobe and filming a story, we're actually gonna put some more artwork into it now, and I'm really excited for this. I'm like, I can't wait.
What do you shoot with?
A Lumix G85.
Okay. So your advice for story development is just
do it.
Just do it.
Just do it, because it's like with anything, you think too much into it, it'll hinder it. With the 48, because of time constraint, don't spend too much time on story. You know, just come up with a general premise and and we all know the shots you must have, establishing OTS. We know the basic shot list already, so I find spending too much time on that could be a waste when you already know that. No shot list, just have it in your head. It's a short film, 48, just go and shoot, you know, and if you're missing a certain shot, at least you have other shots that you can to cover that, patch it up, you know. Not, you know, throw an insert shot in there if you need to. I just find that it just works, to me anyways, it works better because it allows me more time to edit. And knowing from an editor standpoint, it does make a big difference when you get that whole extra 12 hours to edit. Because I can be could be done, like when we shot Silent Train and Masquerade, 5 hours we were done. We started shooting at about 10 o'clock both times. We got done about 3:30 in the morning. Wow. And then it was like, we're done.
But you're home. Done shooting.
Done shooting.
Everything.
So I can go home and take a 4-hour, 5-hour nap, go to sleep, wake up. I'm editing when people are still filming, you know? And I find and the reason why I like to do that as well is because we know editing, when you're tired and you're just bobbing your head, it's hard to edit.
Your brain.
But when you're get some rest and you're wide awake, you're more productive throughout the whole day.
What's your process for post-production?
It's been different both times. Because like I said, Silent Train, it was myself and Erwin Santiago who split the editing, and he knows more about VFX too. So the little VFX snippet in Silent Train he did. But what's nice is we do have different styles. But what I like about when you clash heads sometimes is that's where you know, what is it they say? Diamonds are built under pressure, right? and I know it's just we have just different styles. But then he'll say something that's, oh, that was awesome, and I'll say something, he'll be like, oh, that's awesome. And there are times no, I don't like that. And then, you know, sometimes I'll listen to him, and sometimes he'll listen to me, and that's how that came about. Masquerade, and then the music and stuff, most of that was I had to go royalty-free. Okay. Boom. There you go.
In both cases, it was just royalty-free
No,
music?
Masquerade, one piece of music was the chorus part. That was a royalty-free one. But the other tracks, my friend Pat Quinn produced. Okay. Well, how I did that was, there's a band called Ruel, and I watched the show Originals, and I heard the song, and I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be a perfect song for this scene. So I edited the scene, put the track under it, and it matched perfectly, right? And it's so awesome, but obviously we can't use it. So I sent that edited scene with that track to Pat, and I was like, something similar in the same tempo. Can you do it? He goes, yes, I can. So he took that, created something, and placed this track on there. And that's how we came up with that.
How do you go about generate seeds of ideas for stories? Even though, I know, technically, according to the rules, right, there's no scripts.
No, you can't write it down, but you can talk.
Right.
You can talk.
So tell me your strategy on story development.
Like I mentioned to you last night, why she's up here as well is we're meeting up with team members after this.
Okay.
We're meeting at Spider House. I like to think of, okay, you look at the genres, right? This has already told you all the genres that's available, blah, blah. You're like, okay, what can we do that can cover at least more than half of them?
Yeah, they can adhere to more than half.
What can we at least do half, like,
Right.
okay, how can we throw some romance in there? How can we throw in this? You start thinking, and start thinking. And you have like a general idea,
And then it's also who is on our team, like who's gonna be acting. Okay,
what kind of role
do you see her in? What kind of role do you see him in?
And obviously things are going to be, at least I'd say when you do that and you get your genre and you get all the three elements, at least a good
Location.
40 to 60% of your original idea changes anyways. But the location can still be the same. Yeah. The theme can still be the same if you draw that, So a lot of things can still be kind of the same, but there's still a lot of things that change. Like Silent Train was a totally different idea before, but because it was silent film, it was like, oh,
yeah,
this is going to be way different than what we originally kind of had in our head. Yeah. But that's just brainstorming, getting ideas, and you do that enough, you kind of have it stuck in your head, so it's kind of easier to adjust fire.
Yeah.
Well, military term, sorry, to adapt.
Like what?
I'm like, adjust fire to adapt. I'm the same as you. I love Small Crew. When we did Silent Train, it was just me and Erwin. We both co-directed, shot, edited.
Oh, okay.
It's just us two. This one right now, as of right now, I'm the only crew.
Well, no, you have Crystal can do.
Oh yeah, Crystal's help out with sound.
And Patty can probably help out too.
Oh yeah, Patty will help out. So I still got two more crew members, which will help because what's nice is I've kind of invested in equipment throughout the year, so now I have like pretty much the minimum of everything, the basics to do a film. So that helps out a lot with like lighting and audio and stuff. Yeah. But I like small crew. I like to keep it small because if you have too many people, it takes too much time. Right. Film is work, as we all know. Like it's physical work. You're on your feet, or
definitely
acting too. You gotta be energized. So you gotta take care of your people as well.
The logistics are so important. I mean, of course we need to make sure that we know how to shoot and act, but logistics, the most basic things, we can't forget about those. Yeah. You got to take care of your crew.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like I find a formula for the 48. It's like pre-production, really, is like 10%, because you don't really have. It's not like doing a movie where I can go find 100 locations. Right. So very small is pre-production. Production is like 20-30%. 5 hours of shooting, you're done. But that post-production, man, you gotta leave that time for that post-production.
Yes, I agree.
And
that's the heavy. That's where all the, I always say, right, there's a story you write, the story you shoot, but the one that people watch and care about is the story you edit. So that's really where the money's at.
And I find this, I've seen, we have seen films in a 48 where like, oh, they could have spent more time on this. And so you can look at a film and know what they could have spent more time on. Yeah. And every film is that way in the 48. But the ones that really lack, I feel, like really bad, are the ones who didn't give post enough time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So it's like the 48 has a reverse kind of formula, you know what I mean? And when you do a real, like a big time film, a lot of times pre-production is where the most of the work is done. And then they spend 2 weeks shooting a film, and then they spend like a year editing. Right. And that's a totally different formula than the 48. It's like pre-production, minimal. Production, okay, cool. Knock that out real quick. Yeah, just hammer out on that post-production. Yeah. That's what I would tell people is really think of the post-production. When you shoot thinking with post in your mind. And a lot of people I find don't do that. They just get on the moment and like, oh, I want to do this. And then they get carried away with like, oh, let's do this shot. Just think it in your mind, like how you want to see it. And just shoot that and limit your shots to 2 takes. Yeah. Limit your shots to 2 takes. Boom, go on to the next.
Absolutely.
It's really like doing the 48s is a great exercise to kind of go against what you're used to doing. Kind of train your brain to do something different.
Think outside the box.
Yeah, it's the antithesis of Hollywood production. So I find that fun.
I love it. The pressure.
Yeah.
The rush. Oh my God, I'm editing.
Exactly, right? The rush, man.
Premiere, dang it.
Oh, when it's Sunday at 5 o'clock, I am on high red, code red alert.
Oh God.
Sunday at 3:30, you're trying to do the end credits. You're like, but I gotta still drive 2 hours up there. That's another thing. Always make sure you have someone to do the paperwork. So yes, because we learned that when we did Silent Train.
What happened with that exactly?
Anna was doing the paperwork for us.
Because there's all, there's so many forms you forget, and then that form at the end when you submit it, like, well, what's your log line? It's like, I don't know the log line right now. I can't think.
I can't think.
It's 6 o'clock. I don't know what.
Luckily, ours was easy. Ours was. That was it. That was it. On a poster, you say.
That should be good. Well, again, appreciate it.
I appreciate you having us here. Like, it's an honor, man.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Exciting.
Thank you guys. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.